Hey guys, it's your average middle-aged American back again with another reaction video. This one is about why Americans are fleeing to Spain. I ain't gonna lie, Spain's got a lot to offer. The income difference, if you have the ability to keep your American job and live in Spain, I think you're gonna live pretty well. If you're retired and you have, a nice nest egg, then I think you'll be doing okay because it's Spaniards make a lot less money on average than Americans. But things are relative. The cost of living is less in Spain than it is in America. So it's relative. It's not that Spaniards are poorer than Americans or anything like that. It's just that the whole ratio is different. So if you can have the higher income and the lower expenses, then I think you do quite well. 6 months ago, I didn't know anything about Spain. And then I told my wife that, hey, in 10 years, we should look at getting a one-bedroom apartment somewhere in Spain, for nothing else than a vacation place for, get 3 or 4 couples together and split a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment somewhere. We always have a place to go. She's like, who are you? You can't even go out of state without getting nervous. I'm like, I know. So this gentleman specializes in relocating people to Spain. So if there's anybody who's going to know the ins and outs, it's him. I believe his name is James. And I believe he's from New Zealand. And he married a Spaniard about maybe, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago, something like that. Anyway, go check out his channel. Without people like him, people like me wouldn't exist. Well, I would exist, but you wouldn't be able to see me on the old interweb. Enough jibber jabber. Let's see what the reasons are that Americans are fleeing to Spain. And I will defend America, just so you know. If I come on here and they start talking about a bunch of nonsense that's only really something that's in a few cities or something, I'm going to tell you that that is not correct. But I will keep it civil and I will keep an open mind. And I think Spain is a lovely place. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing these videos. So don't get defensive. And I'll try not to get defensive. But I will correct incorrect information. Because America is huge. And our 50 states are like 50 different little countries. California is nothing like Texas. Alaska is nothing like Hawaii. New York is nothing like Florida. So, you get the point. Let's see what they have to say.
A city recently voted one of the best places in the world to live, to meet up with some Americans who have made the leap and set up life here.
It's like MTV Cribs.
Exactly. And I'm curious, I want to know why they left the United States.
Money.
Honestly, politically, I think the U.S. is a shit show. I wanted to say that.
And kind of more importantly, I want to know if in Spain, a country full of its own problems,
politicians that are getting caught going to functions that are pro-Franco, and
is life any better? Is this the paradise they hoped it would be? I'm off to meet.
I can tell you right now, without even seeing the video, that there are going to be some misinformed people with very strong opinions. And that's okay. That's okay. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. At least they are in America. See what I did there? And I'm just going to comment on what is true or not true, or my opinion as well. But you got to remember, the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, the United States Constitution, the 10th Amendment gives states the power to run their own governments. And states are the size of European countries. So when someone's complaining about the crime in Chicago, that is not the same as the crime in Asheville, North Carolina. You know, crime is a perfect example. Crime varies 1,600% depending on where you are in America. So you go, oh, America's got all this crime and this and that. No, it doesn't. There's some big cities that have big crime, and that makes a big impact on the overall country's statistics. But there are plenty of little towns where people have lived in their entire life, never been a victim of crime. I have never, knock on wood, ever had my house broken into. I'm 54 years old. And I have never had my house broken into. I've never had a car stolen. I've never been robbed. I've never been beat up. I mean, I'm not a small guy and I can handle myself, but I've never been beat up. I've never been mugged in my entire life. And neither is my wife.
She was a participant in my Move to Spain masterclass, my online course that helps people move here. And I've never actually asked her why she was, she decided to leave the States. And I'm really curious to see how life is working out for her. And buildings with no elevators. Hello.
Wow, it's like MTV Cribs.
Exactly. Erica moved to Spain from Denver in October 2021 with the help of
Denver, Colorado. Now, Denver, Colorado is a probably pretty left political area. Colorado in general has more lax drug laws and in turn may have more crime. I don't know that for a fact though. Colorado itself is a beautiful place though. So that's just a little preemptive information.
a European passport via her great-great-great-grandmother from Liechtenstein. She lives in Valencia's beachside Cabanyal barrio and runs a couple of YouTube channels, one for teaching English and another about life in Spain, which I'll link below. And we kick off with a tour of her flat.
Yeah, it's very open. My friend said it's like Americana style. Like,
Is it your Spanish friend said that?
yeah, because I think Spanish apartments typically they have a door in the kitchen.
Yeah, like an open kitchen would be, sí, cocina americana. The piano, now you play, right? You're a singer, you're a musician.
Yeah, don't make me play.
It's very light filled, so the bedrooms are on the light side of the...
Oh yeah, so much light.
Wow, yeah.
Which, yeah, also sold me on the apartment because a lot of Spanish apartments are pretty dark. I was living in Denver. I was paying like $1,000 a month for like a bedroom in a house, you know. Here I pay for, so I split it with a roommate, so $325 we each pay.
So a third of what you were paying in the States. Tell me why you left the States. I was thinking, you know, people come to the masterclass and I know they want to go to Spain, I know why they want to go to Spain, but I don't know why they want to leave where they're leaving, so.
Denver, I was working at a nonprofit, an immigrant resource center. So I was teaching English to adults and also helping people prepare for their citizenship exam. And then I also taught piano lessons and played in the band. Yeah. And then the pandemic, you know, everything shut down. We weren't playing music. I was furloughed for a bit from work and then started putting the pieces in order and came in 2021.
And were you know, was some of leaving the States any sort of dissatisfaction?
Yeah, I love lots of things about the US, but Spain is so social.
Like friendly or socialist?
Both?
No, definitely more socialist. No, like sociable, like, and I think now I'm starting to think that a lot of it has to do with the infrastructure. Like in the US, unless you're living in like New York City or like San Francisco, you're car dependent to get most places. That means you don't see people as much as you'd like to. Part of it's that, the infrastructure, that everything's so spread out and there's not good public transit. There's like a sense of loneliness in a lot of places in the US.
Do you want to show me the neighborhood?
Yeah, let's go.
Cool. We head to Valencia's enormous urban beach, just a few blocks from Erica's flat. There was an article in the New York Times a couple days ago about Spain, Portugal, and how actually Americans are moving. I don't see this so much in Spain, but some locals are complaining that it's like, okay, cheap for Americans, but not for locals.
Like there's a lot of Dutch people in Valencia, lots of German, Belgian, but most Spanish people I talk to, they're like, oh, there's not very many Americans yet. Yeah. I think Valencia isn't really on the radar of most Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Like Americans,
Barcelona,
yeah, they'll probably think of Barcelona, Madrid.
It's on my radar. Well, she got some valid points, but she's also talking about one city, you know, and she's talking about car dependent. I mean, there are plenty. They're building communities. There's one not far away from me. I'm near a major city. I'm not in a major city, but I'm very close to a major city. And between me and the major city is a community that is built that basically you don't need a car. You know, they have a grocery store, they have shops, they don't have transit, you know, to get out of that area. But if you lived in this area, you could shop in this area, you could work in the area, you could, you know, do a lot without cars. And of course we have driving services too. We have Uber and Lyft, and, you know, it may cost you $5 to $10 to take a trip somewhere in an Uber. You know, if it's close. If you have to go to the airport or something, it may cost you, you know, quite a bit more. But so I get what she's saying, but she, you know, there's like 1,000 cities in America, 1,000 cities and towns, or whatever. I don't even remember what it was. It was a really large number. Most of our cities are not high populations. So now the cost of living is a whole different ballgame. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Do you hang out with Spaniards, with other Americans, or who are your friends here?
I mean, I really tried to make Spanish-speaking friends, since that was kind of the purpose of moving here.
Yeah.
So most of my friends, we speak Spanish together. Spanish friends, Argentine, French, Italian, but I know people who hardly speak any Spanish. There's so many English speakers here that you can kind of live in a community that's English speaking.
Is it too early for a vermouth for you, or?
I love vermouth. Welcome to Valencia.
Yeah. As we drink this medicinal drink, you mentioned healthcare. Obviously, that's a big concern for a lot of people who are living in the States, the cost.
It is a big concern, yeah. I mean, if you have a full-time job in the States, you're gonna have healthcare, most likely, but there was a point where I was not working full-time. I was paying my own healthcare in the States, and it was like $300 or $400 a month. Here I pay 40 euros a month. Wow. And I got a sprain in my foot from playing Frisbee, and I got an MRI scan, and I didn't pay, I'm always going to the doctor, ready to pay, co-pays, have my credit card ready, and they're like, bye, you're done. And I'm like, you mean I don't have to pay more?
You know, so obviously.
Okay, we don't need to get into a big healthcare argument. I've done this with plenty of people in the UK, to the point where I actually took the video down. So I'm just going to state the facts. Keep in mind, she's comparing her cost for healthcare in America to her cost of healthcare in Spain. But the income difference in America and Spain is dramatic. Americans make 2 or 3 times as much on average as people in Spain. So right off the bat, there's not that much difference. So you got to keep that in mind. In addition, 100 million people in America don't pay for health insurance. They either get it for free based on their income, or they get it through their employer as a benefit. Just about anybody who works for the government gets insurance, and that's millions of people who work for the government. And then anybody who's got a, professional type job is going to get health insurance through their employer, either for free or at a discount. And there is an entire program based on insurance for lower income people, and it's based on their income. There are people that pay $10 a month or $20 a month or $50 a month based on their income. Now, if you're making $100,000 a year and you have your own company and you don't have, you're not working for anybody and you have to buy your own insurance, you could spend $800 a month for good insurance. You could, but it's all relative. And then you got to keep in mind that the difference in taxes. Our tax brackets are dramatically less than almost any country in Europe. So if you take, if you make $100,000 in the UK, you're going to get taxed like $50,000. You make $100,000 in America, you're going to get taxed like $18,000 or $20,000. It's a huge difference. And that difference, one of the things you got to pay for is health insurance. But with that, you have the ability to switch doctors anytime you want, go to different hospitals, go to buy different insurance, whatever. And it's not a ratio of your income when you make above the minimum. If I make $100,000 one year and I'm paying $1,000 a month for insurance, and I make $200,000 the next year, my insurance doesn't go up. I still pay $1,000 a month. Whereas in a country with universal health care, with a higher tax system, like the UK, I haven't looked at Spain directly in a while, but in the UK, if you were making $100,000 a year and you had to pay $50,000 in taxes, and you made $200,000 the next year, you're going to pay $100,000 in taxes. So you're paying more for healthcare up front than somebody who's just buying it from a company through insurance. I hope that makes sense.
Healthcare is something that's cheaper. I mean, how is the cost of living here compared to, life in the States?
I mean, Valencia is cheaper than like Madrid and Barcelona for sure. You can live, I have friends who make €1,000 a month and they still take vacations, they travel, they go out to eat. I mean, if you make €2,000 monthly here, it's like you're doing really well.
It all sounds great.
So the key is, if you're an American, which that's what this video is about, the key is go to Spain with, let's say you have at least $100,000 saved up. And that sounds crazy. I don't have $100,000 sitting around, but I have a house. So if I'm going to move to another country permanently, then when you sell your house, you're going to end up with a chunk of money. Generally speaking, real estate goes up every year, outside of a few exceptions. So, yeah, I mean, if you can live on $1,000 or even $2,000 a month, or euros, which they're almost the same now, they're within like 5 or 8% or something, and you have $100,000 savings account, to fall back on, man, you're good to go, right? I mean, if she's got friends that live on €1,000 a month, imagine if you could live on €1,000 a month and you had $100,000 in the bank. That's 10 years of emergency funding. That's amazing, with interest.
Americans are used to like a lot of space and like, this is my space, this is my bubble, this is my like noise zone where you can't enter. And here it's more communal, like it's a shared space, it's shared sound waves where if I'm being loud in the street, like you can't say anything,
Yeah. Is it life that you expected? Is life the same or different from what you thought it would be?
Honestly, I thought it might be harder to build a community here because I came on my own. And like, yeah, you gotta put in effort, like put yourself out there, go to meetups, play a sport, find language partners. But like I said before, people are so social. And I think Spanish people in particular, they see someone on their own and they're like, come with us, like they invite you to things. Like I think you'd have to actually put an effort to be like lonely here, All
right.
I understand what she's saying, and it's a very valid point. And I'm sure that on average is true compared to America. But there are a lot of small towns in America, you know, that, and I mean small towns, like towns that have 800 people in them or 1,000 people in them that are like that, you know. So everybody moves in the neighborhood and people bring over pies and introduce themselves and, you know. But yeah, no, in a big city, it definitely is not like that at all. And she's right about the noise. I mean, I'm a noise freak. I want my bubble. I want my bubble. I don't want to hear the neighbor. I don't want to hear anything. And I imagine that will change. You know, I'm a lot more tolerant than I used to be. But no, yeah. That whole go with the flow, you know, people are dancing in the street at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, that's hard for me. I like my bubble. If it was up to me, I would live in the middle of the woods with my wife, and you know, the closest neighbor would be like a kilometer away. But it's not up to me.
Yeah, well, how do you feel when you think about living, you know, being back in the States?
Every time I go back to visit, it's just like buying food. I'm like, seriously, it's that much now? The traffic, and there's also...
It's not fair. I mean, it's relative. You're talking about two different economies. You know, now she's making money in Spain and comparing that to the cost of living in America. That's, if you go to New York and you buy a pack of cigarettes, it's probably $15. If you go to Asheville, North Carolina and buy a pack of cigarettes, it's probably $7. I mean, that's just, cost of living varies. You're comparing two countries that aren't even on the same scale. So that's not really a fair comparison.
Politically, there's just kind of this underlying like anger. Even my dad, who I always votes conservative, you know, he's like, if this country gets any crazier, like, we're going to Europe, you know, like we're leaving, which I'm like, coming from my dad, I'm like, what?
I was going to ask you, Erica, before we finish up.
And the political thing, just so everyone's on the same page here, there is a divide in America, but it's not near as... The divide is just as bad as it's portrayed, but there aren't as many involved with that divide. In other words, most people, I've got friends that are on a completely different political spectrum as me. I've got relatives that are. What you hear is the loudest, most radical from each side. And that could be 5% of the country. There's no reason to argue about it or anything else. You believe what you believe. I believe what I believe. Let's go get some lunch. You know, it's not as bad. The loudest people are the minority of each side. They're a very small, very loud portion of the country. Most people are in the middle, leaning left, in the middle, leaning right. Personally, I'm right on some issues. I'm left on some issues. My wife's the same way. You know, I've got friends that are left. I've got friends that are right. But most people are somewhere in that middle, and they lean that way, and they don't let it consume their lives. They're not typing all day on Twitter about, you know, President Trump or President Biden or Kamala Harris or, you know, Barack Obama. It's not how they spend their day. The people that are getting the most attention are a fraction of America. Let me tell you something. China sends a drone over to America and blows up an American destroyer in the ocean, and you'll see America unite real fast. So that's the way it's always been. We have the ability to voice our own opinion about what we think without getting arrested for making a Facebook post, UK. We can say what we want. First Amendment covers just about everything. So you hear just about everything. But when it really counts, when there's a hurricane, when there's forest fires, when there's tornado, when there's a war, America unites, and we always have and we always will. So you're just hearing the radical part of each party.
Is if somebody wanted to make this move, what would you recommend?
Take James's course.
All right. Next stop, high rise. David and Patrick retired to Spain in October 2022. They left behind busy professional lives in Seattle, came on the non-lucrative visa, and bought and renovated this beautiful apartment. Who are these guys?
So this is Agatha Christie, and this is Harper Lee.
Agatha Christie and Harper Lee. Is this the tour? I usually start with a tour. Are we on the tour now?
This is the tour.
Yeah, we're on the tour.
We're on the tour. We bought the apartment well ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Because of this terrazza and that view.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
Yeah, but the views. We can see most of the major landmarks. You're standing in the Salone Commodore.
Okay,
So
there were
and the
walls.
dining room was right here. There's a wall where that pillar is.
Okay.
And then there were 2 bedrooms over there.
Okay.
One bedroom here, 1 bedroom there, the kitchen, and 1 tiny bathroom. We turned this into a bedroom.
This is your bedroom. Okay, I love the feature wall.
Yeah. And then this is our.
And this is where I'm sleeping.
Exactly. This is our.
This is beautiful though, how you've done this with the 2 sinks and the shower here. Oh, lovely. Sit down. Nice.
But has next to nothing in it.
Wow, this is.
That is one tiny refrigerator. But I guess they don't need a big refrigerator, obviously. And I get it. You guys go out to eat more. You just walk down, in their case, they probably just walk down the stairs and go a block or 2 and find their favorite restaurant. We have 3 refrigerators in our house, which is just ridiculous. And we have 2 freezers in the refrigerators. So we have a refrigerator freezer in the house, a refrigerator freezer in the garage, a beverage refrigerator in the garage, and then a full-size freezer in the garage. And every one of them is bigger than this refrigerator. I don't know how you guys do it. What do you do if you don't want to go out to eat all the time? I guess you're just shopping every day for fresh stuff. You guys don't like those American preservatives? Coke Zero. That's it. Cheers.
So,
What
do you guys eat?
We had met a couple of Spanish guys, and they introduced us to their friends, and their friends have introduced us to their friends.
Yeah.
And like this morning, I went dog walking with some friends that we had met through their friends, and they had bought a place just a couple of blocks down.
You're speaking English with these people, right?
Yeah, yes and no. So there's a couple of people that don't speak any English at all, so it really helps us to.
Yeah.
And, obviously we're at the very beginning of this, so, we can say I went to a museum yesterday and it was great, or I want food, but we can't have real conversations.
Yeah.
But between us all and between people helping us to translate, no, it's lovely. So we see them all the time, and we got very lucky here.
Yeah.
Here everything is about family or getting together or what have you seen or.
I mean, wouldn't it be a lot easier for Americans if you guys would just learn English? I mean, is it that big of a deal? Yes, I'm kidding.
Or where have you walked lately, or the park, or whatever. And everything in the States is also the same. I mean, it is the same, but you're always talking about work because everybody is so consumed with work.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason is people here truly live by that adage, I work to live.
Yeah.
And in the States, and especially high-tech hubs in Seattle, I mean, everybody lives to work. I mean, everybody's working constantly, and it's a grind.
I always think is when you move to a place, you're moving towards something. You've spoken about the life that you're experiencing here and that you're falling in love with. But you're also running away from something. Running away can be a strong word, but you're going towards and you're going away from. So what was the leaving for you? What were you leaving?
I was ready to be finished with
what I call the second third. Like our first third, we're children and we're growing and learning and whatnot. And then your second third, you're doing things and you're building companies, you're building a career. And then in third, it's kind of like you relax and enjoy the fruits of that to some extent, depending on who you are and how that works out, right?
Yeah. And then I think we really wanted an adventure. A lot of the things that I was worried about before, you get here and you're not working and you're relaxed and all of that stress goes away and you're like, I don't ever want to go back to that life. I love the...
That's just retirement, though. He's comparing retirement in one country to working in another country. And I get what he's saying. I fully understand. I'm ready to retire too. I can't afford it, but I'm ready for it. I've been ready for it for a while. My wife's ready for it. We can't afford it. I mean, it just is what it is. Maybe we could afford it if we moved to Spain, honestly. But I can't just move to Spain. Or can I? We'll see when I get there and check it out.
The United States. I am absolutely pro-United States. I hate Trump, but I'm pro-US. But we've got big issues and we need to deal with those issues.
You can't decide to go move to another culture in another country because something magical is going to happen that's going to make your life better. If you're coming here because, oh, this will be perfect, it won't be. No, and there's just as much reason to be concerned as he's alluded to with the politics in Spain. There's always something you could be concerned about, and maybe should be. See, if the why is because my life is a misery in the United States, trust you me, it'll be in your suitcase when you get here. The problems that we have in the United States, we still have them, and if we don't, it's because we've worked it through. But it's not because of where I'm standing.
It's not as cheap as...
Smart man. Now they're from Seattle, and Seattle is extremely expensive, has a very serious drug problem. I could go on and on about how terrible the government is in Seattle, but I don't need to. But very expensive place to live, which means that they probably had very important jobs or very well-paying jobs as well. So I doubt money is their issue. Politics he's right. Every country's got problems with politics. There's a million things that I can't stand about Trump. And there's a million things that I like about Trump. And I could say the same thing about Biden or Harris or Obama or, I don't vote party. I vote candidate. There's always going to be a problem. I mean, this whole thing with the UK shutting down freedom of speech and all that, that started to happen in America. Zuckerberg just said on Joe Rogan's podcast that the United States government forced them to censor members of Facebook who did not agree with the government's policies. And that's a problem. And then he finally, at first he thought he was doing the right thing, and then he said, enough, this is crazy. This isn't America. This isn't our Constitution. This isn't what's right. And he rebelled against it. So yeah, it can happen anywhere. Question is, do you let it? Smart guy, very smart guy.
As you were led to believe.
Well, yeah, because, you have people on these blogs saying, oh, you can live here comfortably for €1,000 a month, which is not accurate.
Well, the lady we just saw just said that exact same thing.
If you can live here, but do you want to go out ever with your friends? Do you want to get tapas? Do you want to go to the museum? Do you want to travel?
I'm here just after Valencia's Fallas Festival, the most important event in the city's cultural calendar, full of flames and pyrotechnics. David and Patrick take me to see La Virgen de los Desamparados, the city's patron virgin, a pilgrimage point for over 100,000 locals who over the last few days have come to decorate her with fresh flowers. Are you going to feel Valencian at some point? This will be kind of part of you, or...
I'm very conscious, having seen how alive this tradition really is, that I'm very conscious that we are very much tourists at this moment, even though we live here. And that we are watching as people keep this tradition alive and really participate in it.
Yeah.
They're not simply going through the motions. When you see the faces of the falleros as they bring the flowers in, they are often crying, they're very emotional.
Yeah.
It means a lot to them.
Yeah. I'm curious about David and Patrick's experience of moving here while still being early in their Spanish learning journey.
Concept.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
The thing, of course, I had never even begun to learn Spanish before I got here.
Yeah.
So I thought, of course, I'm going to be immersed. It'll be easy to learn. But the fact is, you can say in perfect Spanish what you want at a restaurant. I'm going to go, anything else?
Yeah.
Anything else you need? Do you want anything else? Or they'll
Yeah.
say, just like that, I speak English. And it's not so immersive because it's not an international city, but I mean, there's so many cultures that are here
Yeah.
and so many visitors. Everybody speaks English.
I'm a girl fan, by the way.
Oh, hello.
I have to
This is
give you a hug.
Corinne. This is who we were talking
I am
about.
such a girl fan.
Where did you move from?
Virginia.
What was it for you that wasn't quite fitting?
Honestly, politically, I think the U.S. is a shit show. Am I allowed to say that?
You can say that.
Okay. I want somewhere where life and daily experiences are more important than the work grind, than the political divisions. I just want to enjoy life.
You guys are having a great experience, and I think, is anything bad about this? Like, you know, is there a negative, or is it, you know?
Having retared and stepped back, there were moments where I felt, you know, I was having like emotional currents in myself that they sometimes surprised me, right?
Yeah.
And it's because it's an intense step to like let go of all of that. If you're going to be happy doing something like leaving the country of your birth and childhood and then going somewhere else, you had better get pretty good at just let it go. It'll be all right.
It's so great. Dos besos. Ciao. Ciao.
Smart guy.
Hola. I'm filming already. Oh boy. Beware. I like to get all the natural reactions. Hey, Christine, how are you?
Good. How are you? Good
2 kisses. Michael and Christine left Cleveland for Valencia's trendy Ruzafa neighborhood in August 2022. With the help of Michael's dual European and US nationality, they can work remotely for their jobs back in the US while their 2 young girls.
That's it. They're banking. First of all, I would move out of Cleveland for just about anywhere. But American income, probably a professional job. And then he's living in Valencia for half or a third as much. Yeah. They're going to have a good life, good time.
Go to the local school.
Oh wow, what a beautiful open plan space.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
The one of the attractions of this apartment was that it was just recently renovated.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest considerations were.
All right, serious question. Everybody's got plain white walls. Is that normal? I mean, you guys don't paint different colors and different rooms and that kind of thing? Like my office is gray, obviously, with white trim. My bedroom is tan. My other bedroom is gray. My bathroom is blue. One of them. One of them is dark tan. One of them is terracotta. So like each one of our rooms is like a different color. Family room has got wallpaper. The kitchen we're going to paint gray. The room you walk into is like a mint green and tan. I mean, everything's white. You guys are like white. Is that just because they haven't put a touch on it, or is it? So, I mean, is it just normal just to have it just be white? Let me know. I mean, no artwork, no nothing on the walls. Is that a standard thing or what? What are we doing? Talk to me. If you know, let me know.
For the location, because the girls wanted to be able to walk to school.
Yeah.
So that was kind of first priority.
Yeah.
Second priority was, we like this area of town.
Yeah.
It's super convenient. We're 15 minutes from most everything.
Yeah.
So that's great. And then the third one was we just needed a bunch of space
White,
because we both
white.
work from home.
Okay, so the American kitchen.
Yeah, it's super functional. We had induction in the States, which we love, so that was great, but we have everything, right? We have the oven, we have a dishwasher. We also came from a house that had a very big kitchen and a very big, actually we had 2 refrigerators.
You had 2 refrigerators. Okay, so how's your, can I see inside the fridge? This is, the last guy just said champagne.
Just got back.
Okay. This is similar to all the fridges I've seen so far.
But the big difference is, right, in the States, we would have gone every 2 weeks to Costco and like just cram the thing full of stuff.
That's it, man. I love Costco. I don't even go. They deliver. You just go online, click on whatever you want, buy it again. What's on sale? Deliver 2 hours. Bam. But he's right. You stock up. It's a different lifestyle. That's all.
And here we go to the market every other day.
Yeah. Thinking about why did you leave the States?
So we decided that we wanted the girls to learn another language. And so then it became a question of, well, what should that language be?
Yeah.
And it was a pretty easy decision that it should be Spanish. So neither one of us had studied Spanish in the past. We want them to be exposed to multiple cultures, right? So if you live in Spain, right, you can do what we did last weekend, go to Italy, right? Yeah. You can visit friends in London, right? So it's very easy to be exposed to multiple cultures.
Was there any dissatisfaction with life in the States, or was it more?
It was becoming increasingly difficult for us to try to explain to the girls kind of what was going on, because the decisions that were being made at many levels were kind of against the values that we were trying to teach.
Women's rights were being chipped away at,
And what she's talking about is not women's rights to work or to vote or anything else. The United States has a constitution. In that constitution is the 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment gives power to the states to run their state the way they want based on an elected government for that state. Anything that is not outlined in the United States Constitution as a right, as a federal right, is therefore dealt with at the state level. That's why some states are Democrat, some states are Republican, some states are kind of in the middle, some states are hard left, some states are hard right. The people that live in those states, based on their personal beliefs and their personal needs of that state, vote on people and vote on laws for that state that apply to them. Laws in Montana or Nebraska are not going to be the same laws as New York or Michigan. So the fact is that each state has different laws. The rights aren't chipped away. The rights are determined by the state you live in and the government that you elected in that state. That subject is not covered in the Constitution. Therefore, the 10th Amendment takes care of giving the power to the states. It's that simple. So I'm going to politely disagree with her.
How are you learning the language, or how is your level now? And what's the plan?
We are very solid A1.
A1 solid. Yep.
Yeah.
We're working on past tense.
Okay.
But I just want to be able to not have to think 3 times in my head what I'm about to say when I say something in Spanish, right? So that's my goal.
How are the girls going with Spanish? Younger people learn it more easily?
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, some of the best ice cream in Valencia right here.
Oh, really? Okay, little food tour stop here. Best ice cream in Valencia.
They definitely have a better ear, particularly for the accent.
Yeah.
So our younger one in particular, and I think their musical training has helped them with that ear, right? And so the younger one in particular, her accent, I mean, at least to me, seems really pretty good.
She gets compliments on her accent all the time.
Really? Okay, so this is your local market? This is where you shop? Or?
In Cleveland, there's the West Side Market, which is a very similar, and it's something I went to as a kid, really loved going there.
Yeah.
And so, again, to bring the girls through here and have them understand, like, not only the variety of foods, but where the food is coming from, and it's, fresh. And
this is where you get your fruit and veggies?
Yeah, especially carrots, tomatoes, things like that. As you go through, right, you try different things, you have different experiences, and some of it is based on the product you get, and some of it is based on the interaction you have with the person, right? This stand in particular, they've always been very nice, very understanding of our Spanish, but have really good tomatoes.
I think sometimes they have like a younger, like a daughter or something that's there and is really nice and like talks to the girls, so they like to go there.
Pressure's on, Christine, don't worry.
Nosotros fuimos a Italia por una semana.
¿Fueron a Italia por una semana?
Sí.
Mira.
Hasta luego. Gracias.
Luego. Are you buying here at all?
Never gotten that brave.
Too scary?
The girls will not even go in there.
Oh, really?
It smells bad.
I'm curious what how different is life here from life in the States?
On a typical day, right, I might, on the way back from dropping off the girl, I'll stop and pick something up at the market and come back, and then we'll work for a little bit, but then it's time to find something for lunch. So we come out and go to the party bar or come down here. I think it's just feeling like you're part of the fabric of the community, which is nice.
In the States, are you more like living in your home? And maybe getting in a car. Getting in your car.
To go everywhere. Yeah.
So how's it been for you, Christine? Like, what would you say is like really standing out as the lifestyle differences?
Definitely more walking. Just the walking to and from school, walking everywhere we go because we don't have a car. I think we're also more intentional about how we spend our free time in terms of like traveling to other places too. Like we did some travel through Spain to Cordoba and Granada. We've got a few more trips planned for this year. So just really trying to take advantage of the proximity of Spain to everything else.
What advice would you give to somebody who's thinking of making this move?
I would say, don't be intimidated by the language. Like if you don't speak Spanish, like that is not a barrier to coming here, as long as you're open-minded about it.
Hasta luego, ciao. So having just left.
Here's a fun fact. 40 million Americans speak Spanish. We have a lot of Americans, Puerto Rico is American, and obviously Mexico. There's a lot of Spanish people like in Miami and New York. And so there's a lot of Spanish speaking Americans. A lot of bilingual. Some people don't even speak English, so it's not any different. If you move to another country and you didn't speak their language, there's Americans that don't speak English at all. English is not our official language. We don't have an official language. It's all being part of that whole melting pot thing. And you don't have to move. Here's my thought on Spain. You don't have to just move there. You could always just, buy a small place or rent a small place, which I guess is going to be a lot harder now. Especially if you go in with, some friends, or if you have a large family, with, brothers and sisters that have their own families, that kind of thing. You do like your own little version of a timeshare or whatever. If you go in with, let's say you had, 4 couples and each one of you got 3 months of the year, you could always just go over for a month and just see, just to get away from America or get away from job or whatever. And then if you fall in love with the place a couple of years later, then you can buy a place or whatever. You don't have to just jump in with both feet. At least I wouldn't, but I'm not very adventurous. But maybe that will change a little bit.
Michael and Christine, and I'm wondering what my takeaways are. They all seem to be doing really well. But they're also all, after 6 months or a year, in their honeymoon phase. And that makes me curious to share my experience after 12 years here in Spain. And maybe talk to other people, expats or immigrants, whichever term you prefer, who've been here longer and and see what it's like after the honeymoon phase is over. Does it get easier? Does it get harder? I got to pick up the pace, catch my train, head back to Madrid, see Yoli and Lucia. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see you in the next episode. Ciao.
Well, there you go. So hopefully I've edited this down so I don't seem like such a defensive American. And let me know your thoughts. What is it you love about Spain, and what is it that you wish Spain would be different on? What are your pros and cons of living in Spain? Whether that's as a European or an American or a Spaniard. Let me know. I would love to have a place like that, you know, just a little 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. We don't have, you know, the money just to go out and buy things all around the world. But if you had a couple brothers and a sister or a couple sisters, whatever, and each one of the families all pitched in, and you bought a $200,000 or $300,000 apartment, and you had a place that you could go anytime you wanted to get away, I think that'd be pretty neat. I think it'd be real neat. And people spend fortunes on vacations, so if all you had to do is get a plane ticket and you already have a place to stay, you take a 3 weeks off or a month off and hang out in Spain, and then come back, and then, you know, eventually you regret, you know, you dread coming back, then you know that that's the place you should be living. If you can't wait to get back, you know that's the place you shouldn't be living. Let me know your thoughts. I appreciate all of you guys, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Thanks for checking out my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Can you believe that we now have over 1,000 subscribers and over 100 videos in our YouTube library? Me neither. It's been less than a year, and this channel has grown so rapidly. What's more important than the number of subscribers is the quality of subscribers. Our subscribers are knowledgeable and generous with their time. They teach us about their country and their culture from their firsthand experiences. See, over 95% of my subscribers live outside of the United States. So we're getting information firsthand. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that button. I think you'll enjoy it, and it doesn't cost you anything. If you'd like to see other videos similar to this one on the same country, click here. If you'd like to see some videos on some other countries in Europe, click there. Want to see some of the most beautiful castles and cathedrals in the world? They're over here. Want to check out the United States? We're down here. I appreciate you, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.